Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed, live from Los Angeles. I'm Jenny Taft here with Skip Bayless. And hey, Shannon Sharp, how you guys doing?
Hey, Shannon Sharp.
Oh my God!
You gotta mix it up.
Are you going to parse every word she said?
I tried to be different today.
Hey.
What's that?
I like it.
Setting myself up here.
How is Shannon this morning?
I feel great. You?
I
How are
feel great
you?
too. How are you, Skip?
Good. Same pay. How are you, Shannon?
Well, that's Skip Bayless. Well, you something. Yeah.
Something. Okay, here we go.
Okay, hey, Skip.
Hey.
Let's start with Terrell Owens.
Hey.
Yeah.
Let's get going here.
I appreciate that.
T.O.'s absence from Canton for the Hall of Fame induction ceremony was criticized by a lot of people, including many of his fellow Hall of Famers. Michael Irvin went on the Rich Eisen show a day before the ceremony and said some of the Hall of Famers took it personally that T.O. was not there. Irvin also said T.O. owes it to people to be there, but the Hall of Famers would hug him if he ever shows up to Canton. T.O. responded yesterday, tweeting, quote, "Rich, sounds ridiculous, and I don't owe anybody anything. Must be the side/after effects of drug use. I'm going to leave it at that. Definitely won't be any hugging going on. Hashtag Go Mox," which is T.O.'s alma mater. Shannon, is that tweet from T.O. in bounds or out of bounds?
I believe it was out of bounds, but I need to explain why, Skip. At the Hall of Fame luncheon that's on a Friday, the Radnitsky luncheon, my year going in, the great Deacon Jones was still
By the way,
alive.
this players only.
Players only.
Okay.
Players only. The great Deacon Jones, who was the gatekeeper, he always spoke. He was always the first one to speak. And he told us that now that we're in this building, how we're to act towards other members in this building and how we're to present ourselves and carry ourselves at all times, because now we are a representation of everybody else that's in this room. That's what he said.
Yep.
It gets hard at times, Skip, to do that, because sometimes even Hall of Fame gold jacket wearers say things that you don't agree with, and it gets hard to bite your tongue. But let me give you how this got to where we are right now, Skip. When T.O. made it clear, he called David Baker and told David Baker he would not be participating. David Baker is the head of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He called him and says, "I will not be participating in Hall of Fame weekend." He and Dave talked about it. Dave tried to talk him out of it. Okay, there was no go. But in the process of that, it got around to myself and Michael and a lot of other guys. So we reached out to T.O. and tried to talk to T.O. Once I realized, Skip, that I was not going to be able to talk T.O. out of his decision to have his event separate, I then became a friend and became supportive.
Yep.
Whatever you do, T.O., if that's what you want to do, so be it. Okay. Michael didn't necessarily take that approach. Now, I'm not here to say they were or they were not, but I think they had each other's phone number and they talked occasionally about certain things.
Okay.
I'm not going to say T.O. and Michael were as close as T.O. and I or me and Michael are. But anyway.
It's hard to gauge that.
It really is. But what happens, Skip, is that T.O. and Michael are having a text conversation. Michael is at the time, Michael's on the NFL Network. He's actually talking. T.O. is texting Michael what he thinks is private conversation. Michael shows the national television audience the conversation that he and T.O. is having.
Okay.
And remember, I've said this, Skip, if T.O. ever feels you've done him wrong, it's over. He also, and out of bounds because, whatever he said about the drug issue, that you can Google that information. But here's the thing. The way T.O. looks at it, T.O. is from the South, and my grandpa used to say, "Boy, you kill a gnat with a sledgehammer." So when he felt that Michael was out of line by doing what he did, what did T.O. do? He went to the deepest, the most hurtful thing that he could possibly find and put that in the tweet and sent it. I don't believe it had to get to this far. There's no question in my mind. Michael could have called T.O. T.O. could have called Michael. Look, the Hall of Fame's over. It's done. We still going back and forth with this. And they had, and again, they had a long conversation. I wasn't there, Skip, but they had a long conversation at the luncheon about this very issue about T.O. I'm like, dude, why were you guys still talking about it? T.O. made it.
You mean an open conversation?
Yes.
During the luncheon?
During the luncheon.
Ooh.
Yes, an hour. And they got contentious and they got heated.
Okay, there we go.
And my thing was, why are we still talking about it? T.O.'s made his decision. Let it be. I believe this was a one-off. I don't believe we're going to have a run now, Skip, of guys like, oh, I didn't get into the first ballot. Well, I didn't get into the fifth ballot. I believe it's a one-off.
Will it be a one-off for Terrell going forward? Will he come to Canton next year and the next year? And the next year?
As I've told people, it's hard for me to believe it. I could be wrong. T.O. can make me out to be a liar. But it's hard for me to believe that a man will not show up for his own ceremony, but will show up for someone else's.
I would agree with you. Yep.
I could be totally wrong. But how we got here, Skip, is that T.O. felt that Michael betrayed his trust because we're having private textual conversation and you show it on national television, exactly what I'm saying. At least clear, hey, bro, do you mind if I share this? Skip, even this morning, when you and I broke, she was like, okay, you hear about this thing? And I was like, okay, fine. I put a text into T.O. I said, T.O., we're going to discuss what transpired yesterday with the tweet and you and Michael Irvin. Do you mind if I mention what got to this point? He hit me back immediately. So that's why I'm talking about I can feel comfortable saying. Because here's the thing, Skip, it's different. You're a reporter. If you're doing an interview, you talking to a guy, you feel everything he's telling you is on the record. And
if it's off the record, it is off.
Right.
And I have ethics that I'm going to stand by. And I have character and I have reputation. Go ahead.
When you having private textual conversation, you assume that's off the record. I don't need that. Goes without saying.
Unless you say, can I use this?
Right. And that's what T.O. said. T.O. said if Mike had come to me and said, well, T.O., do you mind if I share some of this? Okay, I can say yay or nay. But when you just go without my permission, and here I am, I'm going back and forth, and you showing what I'm saying, I got a problem with that. So that's why T.O. went to the most hurtful thing, because he felt Mike hurt him in such a way. So now you hurt me, I got to find something that I can hurt you back. But Skip, this was out of bounds, even for this very reason. We're all gold jackets now. No matter what you think of T.O., he's a member. He can't be cut. He can't be traded. So you can't do T.O. moving forward. Please don't do this.
Okay, gotcha. Question.
Yes.
May not have the answer to because I don't remember Michael using this on NFL Network. What was the text that he used? Are you sure it wasn't a text from Terrell defending his reasons for not going?
I think it was a text that defending him.
So it wasn't something negative about Terrell. It's not something that he exposed Terrell for saying.
No.
I think it was actually beneficial to Terrell to use the text because Michael's saying, well, here's what he says in his own words. This is why I'm not going.
But I think the thing is for T.O. was that Michael didn't get clearance.
I'm talking confidence.
Right.
Okay.
I'm talking to you in confidentiality.
Okay, but it's one thing to betray that. It's another thing to betray him with a negative text.
Right.
You know, like something, I didn't want that out there.
Right.
But I think, and I could be wrong about this because I don't know it, I wasn't watching at that point, but I will bet that the text that Michael used was favorable to Terrell's position. Does that sound right?
Well, he said it was favorable, but Michael couldn't get it right in his head. Why wouldn't T.O. want to embrace this moment? And T.O. said it's not for you to understand.
Okay, well, Michael definitely was critical of Terrell.
Yes.
Very critical, just in the vein of, you should be here, you should embrace this, you should enjoy this, you should reap the rewards of what you earned on the field. And it took Michael, by the way, 3 times to get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yes.
And some of that probably had to do with
off the field
drug use.
Yes.
With womanizing, with partying, with all of the above. Okay. So, by the way, my big picture takeaway on this, Terrell really knows how to keep himself relevant because he's still in the news, man. He's brilliant. He is brilliant at self-promotion.
But he responded to this 12 days after the fact.
I got it. Well, he waited until he needed a publicity pop, and he got it. But anyway, that's beside the point. I'm going to give you my take and my irony in all of the above. Remember, I covered Michael Irvin's Cowboys teams that should have won 4 straight Super Bowls, maybe even 5 or 6 if Jimmy Johnson had stayed the course, which was probably impossible at that point, but still, at least they should have won 4 in a row. And I covered Terrell's San Francisco 49ers for a couple of years. And you know how that ended. It ended very badly. For me, Terrell Owens is the flip side of Michael Irvin. He is as far from Michael as you can get as a football player. Michael Irvin, as I've told you before, and I'm a big fan because I watched it up close and personal, he was the driving force of those teams that should have won 4 straight Super Bowls. He was the leader of those teams. On the field, in the weight room, in the locker room, on the sideline, anywhere you want to go. He was the leader. He set the tone in practice and in the weight room.
Right.
Now, especially after they won, as Jimmy and Barry Switzer sort of preached, you win the game first, then you can go win the party. That's okay.
Right.
And Michael won a whole lot of parties.
Right.
And he had drug problems and issues and womanizing and nightlifing and you name it, all of the above. Michael Irvin was the LT of receivers, as in Lawrence Taylor. And Lawrence's background, was he not the leader and driving force of those Giants teams?
No question.
And off the field, he was pretty much close to a disaster.
Yeah.
But like Michael, Lawrence Taylor, when it was time to perform on the football field,